Welcome to the SADTU Informal. This is your girl Nthabiseng coming to you live from the SADTU studio.
The democratic government declared 21st of March Human Rights Day to commemorate and honor those who fought for our liberation and the rights we enjoy today. SADTU is calling all South Africans to use Human Rights Month to foster greater social cohesion, nation building and shared national identity. It is our duty as a nation to combat scourges such as gender-based violence and femicide, racism and all related intolerances which are undermining our human rights culture.
We, the people of South Africa, believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity.
When modern era South Africa held its first democratic elections, with Nelson Mandela elected as its first democratic president, Human Rights Day was officially proclaimed a public holiday.
It became an iconic date in our country's history. Today, we commemorate Human Rights Day as a reminder of our rights and the cost paid for our treasured human rights.
Education is one of the most important weapons in a country. We wanted to transform education into an instrument we can use for development.
And we agree that education indeed is a human right because it reduces inequality in society. Education is an enabler. It is one of the most powerful tools to improve one's life expectancy and to ensure the development of a fully rounded human being.
In essence, every child has the right to go to school and learn.
So the right to education is crucial for the exercise of other human rights.
As SADTU commemorates Human Rights Month, we are reinforcing our commitment to the Bill of Rights as enshrined in our Constitution. Born from the terrible 1960 Sharpeville massacre and the struggle against apartheid, Human Rights Day is both a celebration of human rights of all citizens and a solemn remembrance of the suffering and sacrifice necessary to secure them. This day marked an affirmation by ordinary people rising in unison to proclaim their rights.
The majority of learners are being taught in conditions that seriously undermines the right to education as provided in the Bill of Rights.
Human rights apply to everyone equally.
Well, thank you again for having me. It's a great honor to be here on the eve of Human Rights Day. I think that South Africa represents, not just for the region, but for the world, a different pathway for achieving democracy and equality. And historically, your struggle, which needed to be and was necessarily a violent struggle in terms of fighting back against repression and the apartheid state, but you did it also with ideas. You did it also with values. You did it also by bringing people together around an idea of a multiracial, democratic South Africa, where different people could coexist and that their value, their rights as human beings, was the fundamental organizing principle around which the South African project was able to be organized.
And then coming to the right to education, which is a very important right, it's a fundamental right. In fact, education is a fundamental right and a public good. Unfortunately, in Africa, across our continent, this right is yet to be fulfilled. The main bottlenecks are, one, there is not enough funding for education. So investment in education is very limited. And then there are not enough qualified teachers in many African countries. Even where they are there, the class sizes remain very huge and making it difficult for teachers to attend to the needs of individual students. And then coupled with that is the issue of attracting teachers into the profession and keeping them there. The main challenge is that young people today do not really, in the majority of our countries, aspire to be teachers. The main problem being that the status of the profession is very low. The salaries are quite often very low compared with other professions which require similar or equivalent qualifications. So the right to education is yet to be achieved.
For us in the Gambia, we are very much particular about education for all. We are very much particular about leaving no one behind. In fact, in the curriculum, we have incorporated human rights education and human rights studies in the curriculum. Also, we have, in the schools, we have human rights clubs because we know the students are very important in this endeavor. So therefore, we realize that we cannot leave them out of the whole equation. And these clubs are very active because they talk about peace, they talk about tolerance, they talk about all the issues that are related to human rights education.
Alors, je suis présentement en Afrique du Sud pour une mission syndicale. Je suis membre du comité permanent du CRE. Et nous venons précisément pour préparer la conférence régionale qui aura lieu au mois de novembre ici en Afrique du Sud. Donc, nous préparons cet événement régional qui va regrouper les leaders syndicaux de tous les syndicats membres de l'IE au niveau de l'Afrique. Donc nous sommes le comité chargé de la préparation et de réfléchir sur les thématiques qui seront abordées lors de cette conférence régionale.
Yes, currently we have over 28 million students in the Ethiopian education system. The enrollment of students is really going good, and yet we have over 3 million children out of school, so we need to bring them up, we need to bring them to come to school.
Now, looking at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal for quality education, the deadline is 2030. We know that on current trends, that will not be achieved. So it's important that governments accelerate progress towards achieving that goal. And then on the African continent, the African Union has the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, CESA, Continental Education Strategy for Africa. That strategy is supposed to be realized by 2025. So we're almost there, but it's clear that there are enormous challenges, so it will not be achieved. The objectives of CESA, the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, will not be achieved.
As a matter of right, as a matter of human rights, we are really working hard to bring children to school, but still we have challenges with providing quality education.
You cannot ever, in my mind, separate human rights in South Africa because they are, on the global stage, in everyone's mind, absolutely intertwined and impossible to be separated out. I think that the thing about education rights, so right now we are, about 7 years away from 2030, which is when the Sustainable Development Goals are supposed to have been achieved, and we are very much off track.
In fact, for us at Gambia Teachers Union, not long ago we launched a competition on Human Rights Day to sensitize the general public, also to bring the issues out to the communities, to the schools about the importance of human rights and human rights issues.
Unless we as unions, we as educators, we as activists, civil society organizations, parents, student groups come together and put pressure on governments, one, to invest more in education, and teachers to invest in infrastructure, for example. That's why Education International on the 24th of January this year launched an important campaign, the Go Public Fund Education campaign. It's an education financing campaign. And in the light of that campaign, we've already organized very, very important events, working together with our member organizations.
I think it's really important that we're here, that as we're taking stock of the challenges facing trade unionists around the world, teachers around the world, students around the world, that we maintain a very strong rights focus, because you have, there's the rights and the responsibilities part of this in terms of the government's responsibility to create an enabling environment for rights to be realized. But SADTU has always been, and will always be, I believe, one of EI's main fighters and defenders of human rights.
Education is a societal issue. We must ensure that we need to get the whole nation involved. On this Human Rights Day, we urge everyone to play their role in ensuring that the right to education is a reality for every child in the country.
If we go back, let's go and teach with love. If we teach them well, they will stay away from drugs. If we teach them very well, they will respect. If we teach them very well, they will prosper, and we will take our economy into our own hand. We'll get our land back because we can be able to utilize the land of our ancestors.
As we wrap it up, experience has taught us that whether we are at our workplace, within communities, at school, or with our partners and children, we need to demonstrate the kind of responsibility that we would like to see in our country's future. We must remain vigilant and report abuse and cruelty such as human trafficking, child labor, violence against women, children, and the aged and other vulnerable groupings of people. Thank you for tuning in into the SADTU Informer. This is your girl Nthabi, live from Matthew Koniwe House.
From me, Wilson Mmako, that's all.
See you next time.